Today, Ted and I are discussing a very common question that we hear: is keyboard easier than piano?
Hi, this is Ted with Alamo Music Center in downtown San Antonio, Texas.
I'm Patrick Marr. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. Make sure to check out our new website, alamopianogalleries.com. It highlights one of our 9 stores throughout the country. Make sure you come check us out, say hi. We'd love to see you and show you everything we got, and talk everything pianos. Ted, this is a common question that we hear.
It is. Is it easier to learn keyboard than piano? I heard it was easier to learn keyboard than piano.
Yeah, and it's a more, in the grand scheme of things, it's a more attractive bargain for people. They're like, okay, well, it's the first step in. If this is the less expensive version, it's my first step into the instrument. And so it must be easier because it's for a beginner, right?
Right. But first things first, before we get into that, because it's really obvious about how most people think a keyboard and a piano are interchangeable in this day and age. That's kind of where this topic is coming from. But at the same time, keyboards are different than pianos. They're different for a number of reasons, because keyboards, they drive organs, they drive synthesizers, they drive spring-loaded, they drive wooden keys, all that kind of stuff. So a keyboard is different, and also price. But before we get into that, I do have a piano fact today. And it involves keys, of all things. And, during the sale, we had recently had a sale 3-4 days last week, and a lot of people, sometimes they're looking at a grand piano and it's priced really, really perfectly, but there's something about it they don't like.
The keys feel wrong.
I don't like the way it feels, or the basic problem is it's uninspiring and I don't know why. And so I tell them, well, look at this one. Well, see, that one I like. And the difference is, believe it or not, 1/4 of an inch. It all comes down to 1/4 of an inch. There at one time was what was called standard key length. And that's what you're going to find on a Baldwin or, say, a Baldwin, a Hamilton, or any kind of spinet or upright or console piano. They're going to have standard keys on it. And on grand pianos at that time, they usually had international key length, which means the keys are going to be 1/4 inch longer, both the white keys and the black keys. And as a result, the black keys don't look as tall because they're longer and they're not as intimidating looking. And the keys might just be a hair width wider, but there's more breathing room on those keyboards. Those are now the pianos and keyboards, the kind of keys that you see on Yamahas, on Kawais, and then on any of the Samics or any kind of the imported pianos. There's certainly almost every piano that's manufactured in one factory or another in China or in Indonesia are putting out international key length.
Yeah, so almost everything will have international key length now.
So it's the new standard.
Even keyboards.
Even keyboards.
And so it's become, at a certain point there was 2 different sizing of keys. Now there's just one kind of globally accepted. The international key length is the new standard, but they did used to be a standard key length, which if you've ever played an older Baldwin, it almost feels like it's harder to get up on the sharps.
It is.
It's really an interesting.
It requires more precision. And the other thing is, in this day and age, when you put older keyboards that have standard keys that are grand pianos next to brand new ones, well, they don't sparkle like the new ones do because the keyboards are bigger and wider and spread out. So the pianos are just more attractive. Yeah.
So that is something, if you are looking at used pianos today, we are talking about keyboards, but within keyboards, you brought a prop. You can show us. Is that standard or is that international
length?
This
is actually smaller than standard length. This is
much smaller.
This is like a novelty type thing. But the reason why I brought this is really important is because I wanted to talk about this concept of keyboard being easier than piano. And yes, it is. And at the same time, if you're one of those that think anything with a keyboard is a piano, because a lot of times parents come in and say, oh, my son, my daughter, my kids are learning piano. And this is what they have at home. They call this learning piano. And I 100% agree with them because right after World War II and during World War II, Harold Rhodes was an airplane mechanic, and he took these tubes that were part of a B-17 in internal construction and started making 27-note pianos. And he ended up, when he got down to a design and a format that worked, he actually had, and they were about the size of, I'd say, like a regular office secretarial type trash can. But they were only 27 keys, so it was going to be something about this big. And the idea behind it was that you just had about 2 octaves or so, so that at least you could learn some left hand, how to do chords, and then you could also learn how to pick out and play a melody. So in that instance, keyboard is real easy, and I'm a big proponent on this because I actually experienced this in my house when my children were small. And that is, I had something that had those micro keys that Yamaha put out. And its keyboard was probably about this size, had 100 sounds, had micro keys on it. But the nice thing about it is that you could set it in a chair. You can take it wherever you go, so you can practice. That's why keyboard is easier, because you don't have to go there and be stuck there. You can sit on a sofa and watch a movie and be practicing chords, be practicing licks, and memorizing. It's mobile, and you can take it like to the beach. You can take it on vacation. And so yes, keyboard is easier because it's so much more accessible. When people are walking around with all the things they have on their phone, they have their entire photo library, they have all their social media, they have everything, plus a phone and a camera and everything on there.
Payments.
Payments, games, everything. News, even movies and all that. So portability is the main thing of a mobile society. And so in that instance, yes, keyboard is a lot easier.
Well, let's talk about the actual experience that you get playing a keyboard. Because there's different levels of keyboard. There's this, what we're looking at here. This is a keyboard behind us, digital piano. But as you move up, there's different types of action. There's different types of sound samples that come out. And at a certain point, what is the easiest button?
Okay.
And that's it's a loaded question because it all kind of depends. But
I'm going to go with the smaller portable keyboard, and here's why. Again, I go back to Harold Rhodes. Right during and after World War II, he continued to stay employed by the U.S. Army for about 2 or 3 years after the war, because he was manufacturing these little keyboards that were 27 unit, and he was teaching. At one time, I think he's personally responsible for teaching 230,000 troops that were injured and hospital, and learning music as a way of therapy to focus their minds on something else other than their condition. And it also just served as a door opening to open up music because of its massive healing powers, especially if you're trying to learn it, even just the melody and chords. It benefited a lot. I mean, there's almost 250,000 troops that were somehow physically or medically damaged or mentally damaged from the war. And so those benefits really taught a lot about music as a recovery from trauma type thing. But the fact is that they only had like about 20 some odd keys on it, 27 keys. This one has 37. So you can get a full range of melody within about 3 octaves, and then a full range of chords on your left hand. Now, the main important thing, and the reason why I say keyboard is easier, is because it is like the doorway, or the opening the gate into a new world. If people are curious and driven and want to get good at something, they'll outgrow this keyboard and go look for something else. Eventually, they'll land on a piano where they're putting both hands together. It's a little rough putting things together on here, but you can do little simple melodies, but not like you can play a lot of
So not
stride.
only from a mobility standpoint of ease, but a financial,
absolutely. This thing here, we sell, I don't know how many of these a week go out in the mail, and I think they're less than $100.
Yeah, so as far as price point, it's a lot easier to make the investment. As far as versatility, easier to get involved with music as a whole. You see the map of music when you see keys. And
it's not just learning it. Look at the sounds. I mean, you start. I mean, most people, what's a bassoon? Well, you can go hear an oboe and find a sound, and I know what that is. You hear it in an orchestra. So they're even better learning tools than a standard acoustic piano.
And on acoustic instruments, a lot of times, and this is once you get it up a little bit more expensive, a lot of times people are like, well, I want an acoustic piano, but I only want to spend $800 to $1,000, which isn't a small amount of money. But in the piano world, you're not going to get a lot. In the acoustic world, there's going to be a broken piano, there's going to be a free piano, and they require a lot of work. The $800 to $1,000 in a keyboard realm is you get something that's 88 keys, you get weighted keys. It feels, they're trying to mimic what an acoustic piano feels like. You're never going to have to worry about tuning it or strings or the soundboard or the pin block, any of the stuff that can go wrong on an instrument usually happens in those $800 to $1,000 acoustic pianos. And so there's a reason they're getting rid of it. And at that point, keyboard is a lot easier, a lot more attainable, and a lot better of an investment.
It's more practical.
And so the simple answer to this question is yes, it is easier, but is it right for you? And so that's kind of like where we want to leave this video, because it is easier from a lot of standpoints. The functionality, what you get on your return, especially in a financial way at a lower price point, the mobility, picking it up and being able to move it. And headphones is a great plus. You get to be a lot of digital pianos have a headphone jack where you can plug in and be alone with the instrument, just you and it connecting. So there's a lot of great things to love about keyboard, and if it is going to make it easier for you to start learning or your kids to learning, it is a home run, and that is worth doing it. And I think is yes. The answer is yes.
Well, the other thing too that is really fascinating about bringing a keyboard is if, let's say you have someone in the family that's playing it and they're bringing it in. They go, oh, we're going to go to the beach. We're going to stop off at relatives and meet them there. There's other people going to be there. Odds are almost everyone knows how to play something on a piano or a keyboard, just kind of like on guitar. You're going to learn a new song or a new melody or a new something from someone.
Yeah.
Because people will, and then not only that, you'll find out who in the family is actually pretty good at just picking out a melody without any music by ear and finding the right note. So yeah, it's a lot easier, and I think it's a lot more fun. The other thing is do it a while without any direction, and then get some direction or get some coaching or something.
And see what you like about it and move on.
The whole idea is that it's an enticing thing, and it opens up a whole new world to people and a whole new world of gratifying your own curiosity about music, creativity, and also what's the big mystery about music and playing the piano, if there is one.
Yeah, and it demystifies the magical.
It does, and it's a great starting point, and it's an icebreaker into the world of music, into the world of piano, and you can go as far as you want. You go, oh, I just want to make some noise, and a lot of people will try to learn piano or keyboard for a year or two and realize, I just like making the sound, so they start buying synths and fooling around, and then 2 years after that, they have a little lab with all these different sound generating keyboards.
So is it easier to learn keyboard?
I'd say yes.
Yeah, it's a way to learn piano if you want to. It's the start to a pathway. You'll eventually outgrow it, but if there's a barrier to entry and keyboard is making sense, go ahead, get whatever keyboard you can afford and start playing, because it is enjoyable. It is
the earlier
something
start,
to grow
the
with.
faster you'll be happy.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Please leave comments. Let us know what your take is on, is it easier on a keyboard to learn piano? There's a lot of benefits to making a decision, honestly. So we had the sale, and a lot of people, oh, I don't want to spend a ton, or hey, I'm looking for this. The biggest encouragement we always offer is, hey, make sure you make a decision so that you can start enjoying it, because a lot of people, well, maybe next year, maybe, and they put it off, and then it's 5 years, it's 10 years later, and I wish I would have done it. I wish I would have learned. And music is one of those things, you're never going to regret it if you really start taking the time and dedication to doing it. You get involved with it, and then you fall in love with it, and then it's a relationship with you and yourself and the music that you're creating. And so there's nothing wrong. There's no downside to that.
No, you have to start with a stomp. You put your foot down and say, this is it. I'm going to learn on this, and when I outgrow it, I'll get another one.
Even if you're just picking around melodies to music that's playing on the radio, you're still having fun, and you're participating with your consumption.
And it's fun to pick out stuff as the radio's just broadcasting.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching. Ted Barslou, I'm Patrick Marr here at Alamo Music. Again, make sure you are subscribed. Check out our other videos. We've done a lot of reviews on different keyboards, ranging from $99 or less to, the $200,000 is the most expensive one we've reviewed. But make sure you guys check out some of our videos, and make sure you're subscribed so you can see some more content that we are making for you guys. Ted Barslou, I'm Patrick Marr. We will see you next time.